I was in high school. I'm born and raised up in the Ogden Valley, lived in almost every corner of that valley at this point. And I had gone to Weber High, and when I was a sophomore, I've sang pretty much my whole life. And for the talent show my sophomore year, I decided to do, what was the song? I think I did I'll Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab for Cutie. And I did it on a karaoke backtrack as a sophomore to compete in the talent show. And I was one of, I think, like maybe 2 other people that used the karaoke backtrack, and I hated it. I was really kind of discouraged by that because I was like, this feels a little bit lame. So I went and got a guitar. Literally like a week later, I went and bought my first guitar, and I went to Gar Ashby, who's another local musician down here, and he taught me guitar for a little bit. And from there, I used to do dishes at Harley and Buck's. And whenever the musicians would come in, that was something I always wanted to do, so I would always bug them. I'd always harass the musicians about, hey, where are you playing next? How did you get into this? That kind of thing. And Shay one day, when she was walking through, her husband actually used to work with me at Harley and Buck's. When she was walking through, I was like, hey, I just got a guitar. I know how to play a few songs, yada, yada, yada. And on one of her breaks, she popped back in and was like, hey, so how many songs did you say you know how to play? And I was like, oh, like, 2 or 3. She's like, okay, cool, well, you're playing my break. And my boss got me out there and I got to play 2 or 3 songs, and she came up to me after that and was like, hey, so we've got a farmer's market. I want you to come to the farmer's market with the songs you know. You're gonna play at blank time. And so I went down there and played that, and she's like, cool, you can come back and play if you learn another song for next week. And I just started building my set list, building my set list, building my set list, and by the end of that year of the farmer's market, I had somewhere between 15 and 17, 20 something songs. And I got a call later that summer from Alpine Pizza, and Alpine Pizza was like, hey, we saw you in the parking lot, do you want to play music here? And I was like, yeah, I've never played for anywhere but the farmer's market. Went in and played my first ever gig at Alpine Pizza, and that turned into something I played fairly regularly. Went over to the Legion in the Valley, and then eventually with Shay, she had started what's now called Mountain Arts and Music. And so she had done I did farmers markets, house concerts, all sorts of different art things to get the youth interested in art. And it was kind of fun because I always got to parade around and be like their poster child for music, and they helped me grow a ton and find different gigs and things. And then from there, got really involved down here, started getting Slackwater, some of those places, and then decided to go move to Austin and try it from there. So I don't play super frequently down in Salt Lake, so I play, I've gone back to Austin a few times. We did a few showcases at South by Southwest, not this last year, but the year before. And then I've done a couple festivals I did one in Anaheim. I did VidCon for YouTube, and a couple of those places. And when people ask you where you're from and you tell them that you play music from Utah, everybody goes to Salt Lake, or more specifically, everybody goes to Provo. Because you've got, Neon Trees, The Killers, all those people that have come out of Provo. And I think a lot of people sleep on Ogden. And then you kind of go back to, Robbie and Richie Cap, who I think have really capitalized on the jam band of the area. You've got people like Scotty Hayes, Corrine Greenwood, Shay Zuro, who have really pioneered the kind of acoustic scene area. You've got like Corrine's son Gordon, The Proper Way, and a lot of those guys who are kind of currently trend-setting. And then you've got some different things, like you've got Talia Keys, who has a little bit more of a soul blues funk spin on everything. And I think the first one would be that I think the biggest thing, like the base roots, would be for people to realize the blessing that really is Ogden music. And honestly, music in general. I think it gets taken for granted. You go out to any number of places out here. You've got the Lighthouse, you've got Utah that does live music, you've got Brewskis, you've got Funk and Dive Harp and Hound, Kamikazes, you've got any number of little bars and restaurants that do music, and 9 times out of 10 I feel like you go in there, oh cool, there's somebody doing some background noise over in the corner. And I feel like in a lot of places where I've been to, it's treated so much differently. I feel like people kind of realize, what that person is doing to get up there and perform. Some people even are really thankful for that in other places. Music as a whole won't be sustained unless you have the artist to sustain it. And I think the biggest thing that you have to do to start at a grassroots level is to supply people to sustain that with, and that is to feed the arts, which I think you have some great people down here that have done a lot of work with that, like Amir with Nurture the Creative Mind. Some of the stuff that he does is awesome. Some of the ability that he has to help people get out in front of venues, to get out in front of things that kids wouldn't normally get to do. We just did a project with them. I don't know how much I can divulge, but a lot of it was helping those kids to understand certain parts of industries and get to participate in certain things that a normal kid wouldn't get to do. Bring in professionals from that field, teach them how to do it, and they get to do the whole thing themselves. And stuff like that is going to create such a cool art scene because you're going to get people to love it from the beginning. So people can find me, usually a lot of what I post is on Instagram, and it is my full name, I think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is. It's Christian Scheller Music. That's really the main way that I post everything. Everything is linked through Instagram. Facebook is the same thing. I do have christianschellermusic.com, but to really stay the most up to date, I would go through my Instagram. Through the pandemic, music is a really cool thing, and it is definitely what I would call myself as a musician. But first and foremost, what I like to do is to write poetry. And poetry has always kind of been my first. And over the pandemic, I started really thinking like, oh, you know, acoustic music is fun and all these guitars are cool and what I can do here is awesome, but what other genres can I write in? And I have a whole like 12-song album, all different genres, a bunch of different stuff from rap, hip-hop, soul, funk, anything you can think of, and it's all kind of wrapped into one weird little package. And Amir hit me up and asked if I had any music that we could work on a project with, and I had a new song, and he helped me get it recorded and everything. And then I've decided to take all the other music and I'm gonna do a whole album with it. And so that'll be coming out here pretty soon, probably in the next 2 to 3 months.
If there's a guy somewhere out there, I'm begging her to bring you home, 'cause I know you're somewhere out there. I'm waiting here on my own. Oh, 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 come home. Oh, 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 come home. Oh, oh, oh. I got 2 hands and knees for praying. You'll run out of places to roam. No rosaries say what you're saying, and no Hail Marys brought you home. Oh, 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 come home. Oh, 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 come home. Oh, oh. Like the life you left behind. You need time, I've got plenty. An adventure on mine, I've got adventure on my mind. Whoa, oh, 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 come on. Whoa, oh, 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 come on. Whoa, oh, come home, come home, come home.
I be harvesting the gold like an alchemist. Trip wizard on the road, I ain't coming down from this. Smoking on gelati, might just cop a pound of it. Music loud like my blunts, found my own sound with this. Now I'm bound to win, I make the gold rush. Everybody fucking with me, yeah, I got the gold touch. I stay abundant, so I